Welcome to the Nourished Mama podcast. I am your host, Anna Robinson, certified nutritionist and wellness coach, plus fellow mama. This podcast is here to show you that you can live your healthiest, happiest, most vibrant life as a mama. Each week, I will be sharing different nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset hacks that are going to support you in your health journey. You can expect realistic and sustainable advice, plus strategies that can easily fit into your busy life as a mama. Because without a nourished mama, there can't be a nourished home. So if you are committed to creating a life filled with vibrance for you and for the ones you love most, then you are in the right place. So let's get into today's life-changing episode. Hello and welcome back to the Nourished Mama podcast. I am so honored to have the beautiful Malissa here with us today. Mal is also known as the mood boosting nutritionist. She is a passionate health and wellness advocate with a degree in clinical nutrition. She specializes in creating wholesome, fun, and easy recipes that focus on the powerful connection between what we eat and how we feel. I'm so excited to chat to her about this topic. Both Mal and I are extremely passionate about using food as medicine, and I know you guys are going to learn so much from her about this topic today. Before we get into all the good stuff, Mal, and talk about mood boosting ingredients, can you give us a little background on you? How did you get into this space? Have you always loved food and health?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited to be here. Oh, where do I start with my journey? I guess it all really started for me from my family. I grew up in a big Italian household, and food was a really big part of how we showed our love, how we celebrated. But second to that, my parents owned a fruit and veg store. So I actually grew up from the moment I could walk, working in the fruit and veg store. So I was always surrounded by really beautiful, wholesome, vibrant foods, which I guess sparked that curiosity of, okay, how can I combine my love for cooking and food with my love for these wholesome, beautiful, nourishing ingredients? And that's where I started studying my degree in health science and became a clinical nutritionist. And through there, I really used social media to build a bit of an audience and to find my niche. And that took several years to do that. And that's where I fell in love with that connection between what we're eating and how it makes us feel. And sharing that message honestly brings me so much joy and just lights me up, because I know that food is so powerful and it's so much more than just something that makes us look a certain way, but it actually really contributes to how we're feeling on a really deep level. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I've absolutely loved being in this industry and sharing my love for cooking and nutrition.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I feel like you can really hear that passion in your voice,
Oh,
which is what I love. And I think definitely your Italian background would play a huge role in that, which I love that you were able to experience that as a child. I have a cultural background as well, and food is such a big part of what we do every single day.
yeah.
It's a huge part of the holidays, and like you would know. And my husband is Italian as well. So I got to experience that through his family,
Yeah.
which is really lovely and it's beautiful. But after you finished studying, this is a little bit off topic, but did you go into the medical nutritional space?
Yeah, so I actually started working at a doctor's clinical surgery, and I had a little room there, and I started doing clinical practice, and I was referred to the doctor's clients, and they would come and see me, and it was very much weight loss focused.
Yeah.
And I worked in that for, I think it was about a year. And that's where I started thinking, oh, food is more than this. Food is more than just weight gain or weight loss. And I
Yes.
really wanted to explore that. And so I left working at the medical clinic and I went and started my own practice. And that's where I started to see clients that I felt really aligned to. And I focused more so on those feelings, on the mental connection with food, and just how we feel on a day-to-day basis, learning to nourish our body on a deeper level, using food as medicine, but not necessarily just using it for an aesthetic perspective.
Yeah, I love that. And something I love about you, and I love everything you share about this
Oh.
topic, is just your knowledge on those mood boosting food and ingredients. Where did this passion come from?
Oh gosh, I think for me, it came from a personal experience. So, as I was growing up, I think it started all like year 12, high school, I developed really severe anxiety and really carried this through a lot of my adult years as well. And with that anxiety, I had panic attacks. I'd feel very overwhelmed very quickly. I lost a lot of confidence because of the symptoms that I was experiencing with the anxiety. And I just felt so uneasy. And I guess for me, it started to really interfere with the things that I loved doing. You know, it interfered with my work because of the confidence that I lost. But then it started interfering in my relationships and just getting in your head all the time. And I guess for me, when it started to really make an impact in my day to day, that is where I thought, okay, I need to heal. I really need to take this more seriously. This isn't something that is just happening to me. I need to figure out how I can learn to manage these symptoms through my day to day practices. And as a nutritionist, of course, the first place that I started was with my food and really looking at food from a different perspective and doing more research into what is that connection between what we're eating and how we're feeling. Because to think that something we do every day, 3 times a day or more, isn't actually impacting what's going on in our mind is a crazy thought that I never had before. So I thought,
Yes.
I need to look into this. And I dove into the research, I got the sciencey side of it all. But then I started to really look at, okay, let's put this into practice. Let's trial things on myself. Let's take out certain nutrients or bring in other different nutrients, take out certain stimulating foods and see the impact that has on my mind. Not just that, but what we're eating really impacts our gut microbiome. And our gut
Yes.
microbiome is wildly connected to our mind, to how we're feeling through the gut brain axis. So, whatever's going on in your mind is really going on in your gut as well. So,
Yeah.
it's just a feedback loop. So, for me, I thought about it and I thought, if I'm feeling so chaotic, so stressed, so anxious in my mind, then that's exactly what's going on in my gut. So I've really started to make those changes. How do I benefit my gut health? How do I populate my gut microbiome with all of those beautiful, beneficial bacteria? And how do I bring in beautiful foods that support the production of those feel good neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine and GABA, which make us feel happy and positive and motivated, and really realigning that balance between what's going on in my mind and in my gut to reflect my reality, to reflect how I was feeling in my day to day. So, yes, it started from a really personal experience. And then as I started to dive into it, I thought there's other people that can benefit from this. Everyone needs to know. So that's where I really started to change my messaging and really become the mood boosting nutritionist so I can share that message with anyone who needed to hear it. Yeah.
And I love that it's so nice to see on the online space someone sharing this based on an experience that they've been through. And I think that's so important when it comes to health and wellness. I think there is so much information out there. It can feel really overwhelming to know what's right and wrong. But when somebody has walked the walk and practiced it on themselves, I think
Yeah.
that is so important when you do take advice from someone, because at the end of the day, we can only share so much,
Mm.
but it's what we go through
Yeah.
ourselves and how we've been able to overcome that is
Yeah.
how we can relate back to other people and
Yeah.
support them on an even deeper level. So I
Absolutely.
love that you've gone through that yourself. And what are some things that you first maybe started to notice when you
Look,
started changing your diet?
yeah, the first thing that I noticed was, I guess, the place that I started, which most people would start, is I reduced stimulants. So I reduced things like caffeine, alcohol was a big one as well, and lots of real packaged sugary foods, which to be honest, I didn't eat a lot of that anyway, because I've always had a pretty clean diet, but as a younger girl coming out of my teenage years, come on, who didn't eat all that stuff? But
Yeah.
I noticed that was the first thing that I changed. And what I noticed was actually the feeling in my chest, which is a weird place to start. I noticed
Heavy.
that heaviness that I would feel in my chest from when you're feeling on edge, when you're feeling anxious, that started to loosen. And that was the first thing I could be like, okay, that doesn't feel as tight, that doesn't feel as heavy. And then from there, I noticed my sleep actually started to improve. My sleep got better, and sleep is the foundation of everything. When you
It is a
sleep,
true pillar of health,
it
really.
really is. And I think it's such an overlooked part as well, because
Yeah.
when I started to sleep better and I was getting better quality sleep and I wasn't in my head all night, I was waking up more refreshed. I was waking up knowing that I could make better aligned choices because I wasn't so fatigued and exhausted. And it's funny because when you start making one positive change and you start to feel or see a result, it's so much easier to then make another one and then another one.
Yes.
And it's just a domino effect. It really
Yeah.
continues to flow. And you do have to learn to be in tune with your body. You do have to learn to look at your symptoms differently, because I think sometimes we just look for the big things. We
Yeah.
look for the dramatic weight loss, or we look for the
Mhm.
huge improvement in our skin, or the flat tummy, or whatever it is.
We're so
But yeah,
impatient about
so
it.
impatient. But if you actually stop and you take a breath and you become a little bit more in tune with your body and your symptoms, you notice those little things, the tightness in your chest, the better sleep, the reduced cravings, the more balanced energy between your meals, between breakfast and lunch. You notice all those things, and that makes it easier to then make changes. So yes, for me, I felt the symptom. I felt that change of how I was feeling with those anxious feelings. But then that was such a domino effect with so many other things as well.
Yeah. And I love that you say that because, our health is really this 360 piece of the
Mm,
pie. And
yeah,
that's how I tell people to look at it. It is like a pie, and all these
yeah.
pieces need to work together. But the thing is, it actually isn't as complicated as we think, because when we
No,
look at one area, it will generally always benefit the other.
100%.
And when we look at it that way, it really does help us move forward. And like you
Mm,
said, all you need to do is experience one little positive benefit. And that's when it really starts to drive you to do better, to be better, and to do more. And it's even when it comes to overcoming sugar cravings or getting yourself out of that emotional relationship with food, it only takes you tuning in and understanding, how does this make me feel, to
yeah.
then really gain so much power
Mm,
between that gut brain connection.
yeah.
Because if I tell a lot of my clients as well, if you really can't break free from sugar and all those
Yeah.
things, and you want to get more control over it, I want you to really think about how you feel after you have the chocolate bar and the coffee versus
Mm,
how you feel after you have a nourishing, balanced plate.
yeah.
And it's not about making yourself feel bad for
No.
the chocolate bar and the coffee. It's about just noting how your body feels. What do
Mm,
your energy levels feel like? What does your gut feel like? Are you getting bloated? How does your mood feel? Just even the power of noting that stuff
yeah.
can really help you make the next positive change, like you
Yeah.
said. And it all comes back to just really tuning in and listening to your own body, your own cues, because they are so powerful.
Yeah, I love that because it is a feeling. Everything we consume makes us feel a certain type of way. And I
Yeah.
think when we're so used to doing the same thing, being on the same diet, whatever it is, consuming the same foods every day, we don't really know any different. But
No.
when you look at changing your lifestyle and changing your dietary habits, and you really tune into how you're feeling after you eat those meals compared to the other things, that is when you can actually picture that feeling. You can feel that feeling in your body, and it goes from being another diet or another crash thing that you're
Yes.
doing, another fad, to actually helping you recognize the emotional connection and feeling in your body that you get from certain foods. And that I feel and I believe is where powerful change actually happens,
Yeah.
because that shifts someone's perspective from being on a diet or doing a fad to actually understanding, hey, this works for my body. I feel really
Yes.
good right now. I want to do more of this.
Yeah. And it's also how you create that sustainable change. Like
Yeah.
it's those changes that last. Those are the
Mm,
lasting changes.
yeah.
And that's what's so important when it comes to your health journey. And this is what I say to a lot of the mums in my programs as well. I say, look, I can give you all the meal plans, I can do all this
Yeah.
stuff, but unless it feels realistic and good to you, and you're
Mm,
really focusing on tuning into your body and why this is making you feel good,
yeah.
then you're not going to be able to sustain it. It has
Exactly.
to really work for you, and you have to notice the benefits. And that's why tuning back in is
Mm.
so important, like you said.
Yeah. One of the main messagings that I like to do with my programs, with my consults, with all of it, is that we're creating your new normal.
Yeah.
I think of anyone who does any sort of program, they say, oh, I can't wait to go back to normal. I can't wait till this 2 weeks is over and I can go back to normal. But when we think of that normal, it's not normal.
Yeah.
Consuming foods that are creating major imbalances in your blood sugar levels. They're having such a negative impact on your gut health, and you're feeding yourself empty calories and empty nutrients. That isn't normal. And I think it's about really redefining what normal is and what that feeling of normal is. It's feeling energized, it's feeling nourished, it's feeling boosted. It's all of those great feelings. That is what we should be considering as our
As
normal.
normal, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's not about, I know you agree with this, it's not about cutting out
No,
all the simple pleasures of life. That's not
absolutely
what
not.
we're about.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is get to a point where you are in control of them and
Mm,
they are not controlling you. Because
mm,
unfortunately, most people live on this level where they are constantly being controlled by food, controlled by
yeah.
sugar, controlled by
Yeah.
carbohydrates. And rather than eliminating them, we just want
Yeah.
to focus on you having the control and the food
Mhm.
not controlling you, which is so important.
Absolutely. And it's shifting that focus to what I'm taking out to what I'm bringing in. Look at
Yes.
the abundance of the goodness of food that you're now consuming. And when you shift your mindset to all of these things I can now have and I'm now having more of, rather than focusing on the few things that maybe you're trying to reduce, it changes your perspective, because we all want what we can't have. If I'm so
Human nature.
focused that I cannot eat chocolate anymore, all I'm going to think about is having that damn chocolate bar. That's all I'm going to think about. Whereas if I shift my focus to, oh my goodness, now I'm consuming all of these amazing foods, these amazing nutrients. If I want the chocolate, I can have it, but I'm really focusing
100%.
on these beautiful foods, and I'm going to satisfy my cravings in whatever way that I need to. But it's just shifting that perspective. It's really important.
Yeah, I love that. Now we know obviously food is medicine, and I
Yeah.
know something this is something you're passionate about. What are your top powerful mood boosting ingredients? Just to give somebody a practical understanding. Now I obviously know this goes so much deeper and it's about
Mm,
putting these ingredients together and building
yeah.
balanced meals. But if you had to choose a top few of these powerful ingredients, what would they be?
Oh, this is a good one. I
Mhm.
like this question. Okay, number one would probably be extra virgin olive oil. Maybe that
Yes.
comes from my Italian roots as well.
Yes.
But the
I love that.
polyphenols, the vitamin E, the anti-inflammatory benefits that you get from something like a beautiful, good quality olive oil is so important for your mental health, so important for your brain and how you're feeling. So that is definitely right at the top of my list. Second would probably be something like turmeric. So really looking at how we can bring in these beautiful anti-inflammatory ingredients that support your energy, support your gut health, support your mental health, add flavor, add nourishment, add color as well to your meals. So that is definitely up there. Let's go for a beautiful fruit. So I like my berries. Berries are good because we can all get access to them, but they're rich in so many incredible antioxidants, vitamin C that supports us in so many ways, supports your immunity, supports your mood. They're probably my top three. But in terms of as a whole, it's just going back to basics. Every single nourishing food that is unprocessed, that is close to its natural state, contains its own set of benefits, contains its own set of nutrients and macronutrients that are really having such a positive impact on your mood and how you're feeling. But they're definitely three that I always reach for.
Yeah, I love that. Those are definitely some of my top favorites, especially
Yeah.
the extra virgin olive oil. Something I started doing a little while ago is having olive oil shot every morning. And I
Ah,
use a wild medicinal olive oil. I
okay.
think the brand is called Wild. Might
Okay.
link it in the show notes because I think you'll love it as well.
Yes.
Its polyphenol count, I think, is over 2,000. It is, don't
Wow.
quote me on that, but it is really high.
Okay.
It's ridiculously high compared to any other olive oil you can get on the supermarket shelf.
Wow.
I know they have it in a few health food
Yep.
stores in Sydney, but they've just started distributing online and it's
Okay.
basically straight out of Greece. So
Oh,
once they get a shipment in Australia, it's pretty much just one shipment of their latest harvest. So it's a
yep.
first harvest olive oil and then they're gone. So you've got to get your hands on
All
it
right.
really early. But I've even gotten Michael, my husband, onto it. It's so funny. Every time I pass him like something now, he doesn't even ask what it is
Yeah.
anymore.
Just shop
He's
the
like, okay.
packet. I need to get my hands on this. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
it's beautiful. It's a wild first harvest olive oil. It is so beautiful. So I
Wow.
have that every morning. I squeeze a little bit of
Beautiful.
lemon and just about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And
Right.
I have actually noticed such a huge shift, even in obviously all those other beautiful internal areas
Mm,
of my health, but even my skin and my
yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Insane.
Major. Yeah.
My hair, I used to have a shower and I have to used to blow dry my
Yeah.
hair, but now I just let it dry because I've lost the frizz. The frizz isn't there
Oh,
anymore. And my skin, I used to get really dry skin.
yeah.
I'd have to put so much moisturizer on before I could put any makeup on.
Mm.
Whereas now I don't need to, which is, I really do believe it's from the olive oil every morning.
Oh, I need to get my hands on this. But I think
You
it goes
do.
to show the benefits of good quality fats. And
Yes,
coming
that in
from that
itself.
nutrition perspective, fats have been feared for so long. I think a lot of
Yes.
us would avoid having fats in our diet because, oh, it's going to make us fat. But it's
That I
so,
know.
so many
Yeah.
benefits on your mental health, physical health, on the fullness of when that you experience in between your meals. A lot of that comes from the quality of fat that you
Fats,
have
yes.
in your
It
meals. So,
actually,
so many
yeah.
things.
There are actually a lot of studies that say that it does the complete opposite for your weight as well,
Mm,
because when you
yeah,
have fat in a meal, it actually fastens your metabolism and your
yeah,
digestion. And it also means that you are absorbing more nutrients from the
yes,
food that you eat as well, which is just, there's so many benefits around
so
healthy
many.
fats, avocados, extra virgin olive oil,
Mm,
fatty fish, and nuts and seeds as well. I think
mm,
a lot of people underestimate the power of nuts and seeds.
yeah.
So even just sprinkling them on meals is such
Hmm.
an incredible way to use food as medicine, which I love.
Absolutely. So many benefits. Love
I
it.
know we could keep talking about them. Now, a lot of mums live with burnout and
Yeah.
symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, irritability, and even anxiety and depression for a lot as well. You and I both know a lot of these symptoms can be supported with food, and we shouldn't just be passing them off as hashtag mum life.
Yeah.
For a mum currently in the trenches and experiencing these symptoms, can you give her some advice on just where to start?
Of course. And I'll be very gentle with my advice because I know that it's such an overwhelming space to be in when you're feeling that way and you've got a little one to look after as well. So, honestly, my advice would be just go back to basics. Don't overcomplicate things and don't try and perfect anything as well. Go back to basics. Have your protein, have your carbohydrate, and have your healthy fat on your plate. And start there. Start with that balanced plate made up of ingredients that are minimally processed, that come in their natural forms, and then work your way from there. Don't try to perfect it, don't try and overcomplicate it. Just go back to basics with whole foods that are going to make you feel more satisfied for a longer period of time. And with that, make sure you're drinking some water. I know it's one of the things when we're busy and we're stressed and there's a million things going on, we're like, oh, I've got to eat something. I'll quickly eat on the go. But hydration, we can go the whole day and not even have a sip of water. Before you eat your meal, have some water. After you eat your meal, have more water. And in between that, just make sure you're getting that balance on your plate, going back to basics and just doing what you can.
Yeah, definitely. I think hydration is huge, and so
Huge.
many mamas don't drink enough
Yeah.
water, and it can really be the cause of a lot of those energy crashes, that
Mm.
3 p.m.
Yeah.
slump,
Yeah.
and even skin problems as
Yes.
well. A lot of that can come from hydration.
Yeah, and
So I
even
love
like
that you mentioned
sorry,
that.
sorry to cut you off, sorry.
No, 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 go. Yeah, yeah.
I was just going to say, even mild, like 1 to 2% of dehydration can actually start to mimic or feel like mental health issues like anxiety. So there's lots of studies around that to show that if you are someone that is already experiencing anxiety, overwhelm, stress, high stress levels, even mild symptoms of dehydration can really overly contribute to that. So making sure you're doing your best to stay hydrated during those moments is going to play such a big role in your mental health and how you're feeling.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Even I tell a lot of people as well, put alarms on your phone. I used
Yeah,
to do that as well. I'd have an alarm
for
like
sure.
every hour to drink a glass of water.
Yeah,
And it is, if that's what you have to do, then that's what you've got to do. You
that's
just got to
right.
stay hydrated. And
Do what you can.
I know you touched on this a little bit, but we often really overcomplicate what healthy eating needs to look like.
Mm.
What are maybe some basic, easy, healthy meals that are powerful for our physical and our mental health that mums can put together easily?
Oh, look, I think it depends on what you're after and also what your
Mm.
dietaries are. But I think if you can base your meals around a good quality source of protein, it's
Yes.
so important to have that protein in your diet and fill up your plate with lots of beautiful fiber rich foods, lots of color as well, just to make sure you're also getting in not just the macronutrients, but the micronutrients, those antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals, all of the little good things. I've actually put together an ebook, Boost Your Mood with Food, which contains over 100 simple, delicious, mood boosting recipes, which can really help if you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know what to eat, you're like, what do I have for dinner
Yeah.
tonight? It's a good little resource to have that you can refer back to. And I guess the principles for me were figuring out how can we have a good source of protein? How can we have some complex carbs in there and a little portion of good quality fats as well? Basing around that is important.
I love that. Over 100 recipes. That's
Yes.
amazing, Mal.
Yes, I love to cook. I love to create, but I love to share them all as well.
So
Yeah,
handy for a mama. We'll
absolutely.
definitely have to link to that as well in the show notes because
Yeah.
that would just be so helpful.
Yes, and
I
I'll
just
give
wanted
your
to,
audience, oh, sorry, I'll
oh,
give
you
your
know, no, that's
audience
okay.
a little discount code. If you type in Boost at the checkout, you'll get 15% off because,
Oh,
all
amazing.
mamas need a little boost, right?
Definitely. Thank you. That's so kind of you, Mel. We'll make sure to pop all of that in the show notes, guys, so you can get your hands
Thank
on that with the
you.
15% off. I love that you touched on also having a protein is huge. And I
Yeah.
think definitely what I tend to see is most mums are simply not
Mm,
eating enough protein.
yeah.
And it is really important. And I think there's also a lot of messaging coming into the health space now about there being an
Mm,
over protein obsession.
yeah.
But at the same time, at the end of the day, reality is most mums are simply not eating enough
Yeah.
protein. And I think there is potentially a protein obsession when it comes to protein powders. But
Absolutely.
like we've just said, there are so many ways we can get protein through food. And not that
Yeah.
I'm against protein powders, I think they
No.
can also be great as well. But definitely basing the meal around protein is
Mm,
important. And it's definitely what I teach. But the other thing that I think is so important is the fiber
yeah.
aspect
Yeah.
that you spoke about. And I think that also goes back to in that correlation towards our gut health,
Yeah.
which is so important. And I can't stress enough how much I see mums simply not eating enough fiber,
Yeah.
being constipated, having bloating and digestive
Yeah.
issues, which then internally affects their mood because we know how
Absolutely.
much that can affect your mood and your everyday choices. In terms of fiber, what are some ways people could boost their fiber in their diet? I know a lot of it, like you mentioned, those beautiful, colorful vegetables. What are maybe some other ways?
Look, I think it depends on the meal that you're having as well. For breakfast, if you're having oats, you can add in some LSA meal, you can add
Yeah.
in psyllium husk. Adding those things into whether it's oats or a smoothie is amazing. So you've got all those little fibers through those powders and through those staple ingredients that most of us have in our pantry. Then, of course, loading up your meals with vegetables, looking at beautiful, colorful vegetables, whatever seasonal, adding them onto your plate, whether that's roast vegetables, whether that's salad, just having them there. And then also looking at fruit as well. I always say, just let's go back to basics with what we can easily grab and go, whether that's from the store, whether that's from the fruit shop, whether that's already in our fridge. But just considering, how can I add more plants to my plate? How can
Yeah.
I contribute to, I've got my beautiful protein. How can I add in some plants? All of those plants are filled with beautiful fiber, that fiber content, which are supporting your gut microbiome, your digestive system. So look at ways to bring that in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're feeding all our beautiful good gut bacteria, which
Yes.
is so important when it comes to our
Mm,
mental health as well.
yeah.
I know that there is a lot of stuff coming out about how we need to be eating between 30 and 35 different plant foods a week.
Yeah.
And I think people, when they hear that number, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to reach that number. But there are so many ways that we can reach that number through, like you said, the vegetables, the fruit, and herbs and spices
Yeah.
count as
Yeah.
well towards that number. And they are amazing for feeding our good gut
Mm,
bacteria as well. But a lot of this research is based on feeding that good gut
yeah.
bacteria, which in turn is a huge part of supporting our mental health. And that's
Absolutely.
what a lot of that research comes back to as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, we really want to do what we can every day to nourish our gut. Like I said, eating is something we do consistently every single day of our lives. So why not maximize it and make it as nourishing as we can to not just support our physical, but our mental health as well. There are so many benefits. It's like when we put fuel in a car. We need our car to run so we can get from A to B. Food is that same fuel, but for us, which helps us get things done, support our bodies, support our families, and just feel our best. Like I said, I still have moments where I experience that anxiety, and I go back to basics with my food. I go back to basics with how can I nourish my body more? How can I nourish my gut more? And the changes that I see in the way that I'm feeling is just insane. And I think it's just small changes. It's nothing dramatic. It's not like a secret formula where we have to buy these specific, very expensive foods that we can never find.
I
It's
know.
just
Yeah.
going back to basics with wholesome seasonal foods and doing our best to nourish that, but taking away that stress and that pressure of perfectionism when it comes to our diet.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you said that about expensive ingredients. I think
Mm,
a lot of people can run to quick fixes,
yeah.
and those health products have great marketing around
Mm,
that as well. And even though I am a believer of a good quality supplement, but at
yeah,
the end of the day, most supplements are a band-aid approach, and
absolutely.
our body is not going to recognize them the way
Yeah.
food does.
Yeah.
Supplements can potentially mask a iron deficiency, a
Yeah.
vitamin D deficiency. But at the end of the day, they're not going to actually heal and fix the problem of
Mm,
why your body isn't absorbing that nutrients. Whereas on the other hand, food can do that. And that's what our thing is, where we say food is medicine.
yeah.
And that's to the extent of which it can go. It
Mm,
can really help you replenish your body and heal your body
yeah.
through the incredible antioxidants, polyphenols, anti-inflammatory properties. And it
Yeah.
is such a great way to nourish your body when you look at it this way, because
Yeah.
I have a whole episode on this as well, on avoiding supplements as much as you
Mm,
can, because at the end of the day, there is no supplement that is going to mimic what food
yeah.
has the power to do.
Absolutely. Food first always. Take a food first approach, and supplements are just secondary. Get
Yeah.
your diet right, get you feeling good. Yes, of course, there may be periods in your life where you need added support, but you cannot out supplement a bad diet. You need to get the foundations from the food that you are consuming on your plate every single day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. Other than food, Mel, what are some lifestyle practices you swear by to help boost your mood and support your mental and emotional health?
Oh, lifestyle is everything. The day-to-day practices that you do are
Yeah.
such a big part of how you're feeling, how you move through the day, your energy levels, all of the things. And for me, there are a few things that I do that I'm really passionate about because I know that when I don't do them, I experience a whole different day. And the day that I do them compared to the day that I don't, they're two totally different days. So for me, the first thing is when I wake up in the morning, I do not allow myself to go on my phone. That is the biggest thing for me because I open my phone and suddenly I am inundated with negative news or comparison or all of this stuff that I just don't need to see. Your cortisol levels are always higher in the morning. So,
Yeah.
when you're thinking about it, you're then bringing in all of this other stuff. It's just not setting you up for a very productive day ahead. So for me, it's really managing my time that I spend on social media. That's number one, especially in the
Yeah.
morning. My
Yes.
second thing that I always commit to every day is daily journaling. And every day that looks different. Some days it might be a bit of a mind dump where I feel like I've got thoughts that I just need to get on paper and I release them and let them go. And other days it might just be writing what I'm grateful for or just writing a sentence about one thing that I enjoyed in my day and not putting too much pressure on what that's going to look like. But journaling for me is a way for me to get out of my head, get out of my way. And also, one of the biggest things that I find, and anyone listening who has experienced anxiety will probably be able to relate to this, it's allowed me to differentiate between what is real and what my mind has made up, what my mind has taken an inch, like I've taken a little inch and we've run a mile with it, and journaling is a way for me to see that clearly and then
Yeah.
move forward in my day feeling, okay, we're good. My mind's just been a little bit crazy today, but
Yeah.
that's not my reality. My reality
Yeah.
is this.
I love that.
Journaling is huge. And the third one for me is movement. And movement for me is walking, going for my daily walks in the sunshine, in nature, has
Yes.
such a healing benefit for me. I can't even express how good it makes me feel. Yeah, it's
I
just,
have an obsession with
yes,
walking and I talk
yes,
about it all the time. I started walking heavily during COVID
yeah,
because we had such a severe lockdown in
yeah,
Sydney. And walking was my savior, and it was
mm,
really a huge part of my mental health
yeah,
game. And it has transformed my life ever
yeah,
since, from not just a physical perspective and
yeah,
mental health perspective, but it also really shaped my business.
yeah,
I created my business during those
yeah,
walks because it just opened up my mind to so much creativity
yeah,
as well. And now every time I do my same walk, I get these glimpses and memories of when I did it 3, 4 years ago and
yeah,
what I was thinking in that moment and how
yeah.
far I've come.
I
And
love
it's just
that.
such a beautiful little reminder for me that I almost have this addiction to
Yeah,
going for
yeah,
my daily walk. Like I just can't wait to do it.
yeah. I love it. And I've only been doing it for the last probably couple of months where I've really made it part of my routine. Before that, I'd go to the gym, I'd be in a loud gym and we'd do all this stuff. Totally different experience. Whereas now I look forward to, at the end of my day, after I've been on my computer, sitting on my butt all day, I look forward to getting outdoors. And it's not just the movement, it's the sunshine, it's the fresh air, it's the walking the dog, it's the being in nature and watching the trees blow in the wind or watching the waves crash at the beach. It's such an experience for me. And it's crazy because I'm talking about walking, but it's such a big
Oh,
part of my day. Yeah.
beautiful. And there's so much research
Yeah.
about the power of walking now
Yeah.
as well, towards our feel good hormones. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is such a powerful serotonin and
Yeah.
dopamine booster. And so many of us should be doing it. And then not to mention as well, walking is a really great way to switch on our detoxification
Yeah.
pathways. I
Yeah.
think, don't know exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's after 22 minutes of walking, it's when our lymphatic system starts pumping and
Wow.
detoxifying all those toxins from our body and processing inflammation. So there's a beautiful
Wow.
physical aspect of walking as well.
Interesting you say that, because I was just about to say one of the things that I've experienced, which I was like, I don't know if it's related, but now that you're saying this, is I've actually noted that my bloating has really decreased since I've started walking. And bloating is something that I've always really tried to work hard on, because it's whether it's a food reaction or what. But as I've been walking, I've noticed that I'm not as bloated as I used to be, because I'm now making the time to go for a walk, whether it's the detoxification, whether it's the mindfulness, whether it's a combination of all of it. I've actually noticed not just the mental side of it, but a physical side as well, which has been amazing.
It's such a powerful way to support our physical and mental health.
Absolutely.
Mal, tell us a little bit more about how someone can work with you, how people can connect with you. I know you've got your beautiful ebook, which we're going to pop in the show notes, but what are some other ways people can connect with you, your Instagram account, what you do, how you work with people?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm there every day posting a lot of recipes and lots of stuff. It's at Malissa Fedele. I also have a podcast as well called the Good Day Wellness Podcast, where I talk about lots of different health topics, lots of mood boosting topics. My website, melissafedele.com, where you can find my ebooks. I also have my programs, my 8-week mood boosting program, which is coming up. And I do one-on-one consultations as well. So there's a lot of ways that everyone can work with me. So depending what you need, if you need a bit of a mood boost, come and check me out, or send me a DM and we can connect and have a chat. And I'd love to see how I can help you.
Oh, thanks, Mel. I am so honored to have had you on the podcast. I know so many people are going to relate to this episode and get so much out of it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing. You are amazing. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Mel. Chat to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this conversation has inspired you to live your healthiest, happiest life. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week. Bye for now.